This is Raythe from Raythe Reign. I'm an author of serialized gay romance fiction. Every week on this podcast, I'll be reading a chapter from one of my gay fantasy shifter serials called Dragon's Reign. I'll explain at the break how you can find out more about this story and others I write. So let's get to it. Chapter 130, The Call. Caden and Iolaire shifted into human form before him. Valerius wrapped his arms around the young man. Valerius was shaking. When did that start? Since he lost them earlier that evening. He'd been shaking since then on some level. Now he felt like he was coming apart, but he had to keep it together for a little longer. By the spirits, has it only been a few hours? Valerius kissed the side of Caden's head furiously, kissing every bit of skin he could reach, as he held Caden tightly to him, likely too tightly. But Caden was now a dragon shifter once more, and he was just a man. He couldn't hurt Caden physically. I need to fly Shioni to the sun? Caden asked against Valerius's neck. Can we fly that far, Valerius? Immediately, Valerius recognized his mistake and pulled back to explain himself more clearly. No, not to the sun, but into the sunlight on Earth. The sun is already rising on the east coast. You need to fly her there. It's the only way she'll heal from the Behemoth's poison. All right, we could do it. Iolaire and I could do it. Caden nodded, but still looked overwhelmed. Valerius knew he had never flown that far. Can you come with me? Yes, of course, but you'll have to carry me too, Valerius told him with a slight smile. Carry? He had never been carried except by the swarm. How he longed to fly himself. Would he again? Yes, he would, and soon. Don't you have to stay in the throne room until Raziel returns? Marban asked. No, he doesn't. Landry was reunited with her body out there. So the moment that Raziel returns to its lair, we're all good, Caden said. Valerius had thought the same thing, but he hadn't been sure. In a way, it would be a relief to not stand and wait helplessly behind the throne room for Raziel to return to him. Landry's okay? Rose asked. Oh yes, I forgot. Landry's free of the Behemoth and hanging in the Emporium eating stale Cheetos and wearing loads of warm merch. Her brothers are not so lucky. They're encased in ice over there. You can see them both, Caden said. The White Dragon King pointed to the two frozen figures that were surrounded by curious onlookers. A few of those onlookers were taking selfies or video, while others looked prepared to start kicking the downed figures. That was not good. Marban, Rose, you need to keep order here while Caden and I are gone. People are angry, and they looked to want to take it out on someone. Understood, my kings, Rose said with a half bow to both of them. We'll handle it. One benefit of being a swarm shifter is that people run from you, Marban added with dark amusement. Oh, and of course there's Jasper. Caden stepped on Jasper's back. The humans' first leader had been attempting to crawl away while they weren't looking. He needs to be kept right where we can see him. I'm a victim, not a criminal. You can't keep me here. It's false imprisonment, Jasper gasped under Caden's foot and flailed his arms to the sides. You are a traitor, Jasper Hawes. Valerius's voice was dark and deep and unyielding. You will pay for your crimes against humanity and shifter kind. All will know of the deaths and destruction you caused in your vain quest for power. People will know that I did what I did because you're a hypocrite. Caden finished Jasper's statement for him. And that will destroy your fans and followers, Jasper, because they'll know that all this time you just wanted to be a shifter, but you simply weren't worthy. Jasper snarled and spat, but there was a haunted look in his eyes that told Valerius he knew that Caden was correct. Losing adulation would be the end of Jasper's influence. We'll keep things steady until you return, Marban said. Now go, save Shioni. Both nodded. Caden shifted without any hesitation, which just showed how much he had grown in such a short time. He gently curled a giant claw around Valerius. Valerius tried to enjoy every moment of this, instead of desiring to shift and fly himself. This likely would never happen again, as Raziel would be with him soon. So he relished Iolaire's cool scales against his bare body, He ran his hands over the deadly claws that were so careful to not even prick him, and he let out a delighted laugh when Iolair took off into the night sky. His stomach dropped to his feet as if he were on a roller coaster. Iolair snorted in delight, but then was dead serious as they flew to the bridge and Shioni. They saw her under that silvery wrap. There were half a dozen doctors around her, not to mention Nagoye, Simi, and the rest of the dragon shifters. Esme was on her knees, no mean feat for a woman her age, and holding Shioni's hand. Anwar was on Shioni's other side doing the same. Tez had Shioni's head cradled in his lap, while Kayla stood over him, hands on his shoulders, as if to give Tez greater strength. Jahara was by her feet, eyes closed but lips moving as she said a prayer. May stood nearby with her arms tightly wound around her chest and her eyes haunted. Ilarion paced like a caged wild animal. All looked up at the sound of wings flapping. She's still alive, Valerius thought, with a hope so strong it felt like it might burst out of him. Iolair did not land, but instead lowered itself to a distance where it could scoop Shioni up from the bridge, a silver blanket wrapped around her. The dragon kings and queens all stood up. Ilarion offered Esme a hand, which she accepted after a moment's surprised hesitation. They called out his and Caden's names. "We're taking her to the sun," Valerius called in explanation. There were nods and calls of agreement and luck. Then they were flying to the east, as fast as the white dragon's wings could take them. Earlier, Raziel circled the unconscious dragons on the ground. Had the red one stirred? What about the orange or purple? Was it a flash of white out of the corner of Raziel's eye? No. Iolair was the one and only white dragon, and was safe in their lair, which Raziel wished to be. The behemoth gone, the other dragons gone, Iolair curled against its chest and beneath its wings, Iolair's purr vibrating through its body and filling its ears. Valerius's mind and body and soul there too, and Caden's as well. Their family would be complete then. But no, they had to wait. Mephis flew close to Raziel, their wingtips nearly touching. Raziel's head snapped towards the green dragon. While Iolair could come so near, Mephis could not. The green dragon blinked lazily at Raziel as if in affection. Raziel blinked back in confusion. "You do not know, but I saved your Valerius. Not once, but many times," Mephis slithered out. Raziel narrowed its eyes. "As if Valerius and I have not saved you and Ilarion enough times?" "It's true," Zephyra said as the iridescent purple dragon flew near. "Ilarion and Mephis were as good as their word to you, King of Kings." "Valerius and Ilarion are becoming friends," Lana enthused as the turquoise dragon flew beneath Raziel, flipping onto its back to look up at Raziel's great form. "I threatened them with death if they did not keep Valerius safe," Raziel muttered, but was a little surprised and maybe something more. "Your Valerius was brave when he was alone," Mephis said, surprising Raziel further. "He would not give up through pain or threat of death. He trusted us. He made Ilarion." Here the green dragon paused, and a strange emotion rippled across the green, scaly face. "Believe in himself again." "Hard to admit," Scylla rumbled, "but true. Ilarion acted heroically." "Heroes normally die," Zippel remarked, its flame-like body darting across Raziel's flight path, but not near enough to get in the way, only enough to cause the air current to bob. "But Ilarion did not appear to care about that." "And you did not either, Evren." A silver shadow glided above Raziel. "It was you and May, Zippel, who told us to go to the throne room, and what could be done to end the behemoth and save everyone." Zippel tossed its antlered head, but there was a gleam of pride in those dark eyes. "Only because May would have died, and I would have been enslaved if I did not. That is the only time to be a hero, when you have no other choice." No, you did it because you love us." Lana flew circles around Zippel, who gave the turquoise dragon an affronted look. "I bet you still have the charm that Iolair made you in your lair." Despite Zippel's red coloring, Raziel could have sworn the red dragon blushed. I'm right. Aren't I right, Eldaron? Lana asked the gold dragon. Eldaron was flying a little ahead of them, preening in the sunlight, wanting them all to see its fine golden scales. It lazily turned its head as if it had not noticed that they were anywhere near it. Oh, what? I wasn't listening, Eldaron remarked. Lana dive-bombed the golden dragon, causing Eldaron to let out a screech of surprise and annoyance before flying away. Lana, you made me appear foolish, and you were still beautiful, even when you nearly fell from the sky, Eldaron. Zephyra chuckled. Well, I suppose that's true. I gave you all a sight to see, Eldaron responded, still sniffly, but slightly mollified. I thought I was looking at the sun, Everin began, but it was just your big butt in my way. Everin! My butt is not big, Eldaron cried, aghast. The other dragons laughed. Even Raziel chuckled smokily. Eldaron was so easy to rile up. Your butt is big, but it is a beautiful butt, Lana told the gold dragon, which just had it narrowing its eyes at her. Not helping, Lana, Eldaron wailed. Lana giggled and performed a barrel roll around Eldaron's big golden butt. Eldaron lifted its head up and ignored her. Lana giggled some more and playfully flew close to Eldaron's ignoring head. I am not happy with you, Lana, Eldaron sniffed. Aw, Eldaron, don't be mad. I love you, just like Zipple does, Lana cried. Zipple let out a snort, but the red dragon did not deny it. Perhaps things had changed. If these other dragons finally wake, they will need a leader too, Scylla pointed out to Raziel. Scylla was at Raziel's right. Raziel glanced over at the blue dragon, who was as easy and unruffled as her human counterpart. If she only were here, she would say the same thing. Both of you are incorrigible, Raziel muttered. Raziel then looked down and saw that one of the dragons was getting up to its feet. It was wobbly but awake and unsure. Ah, your new subject. More are waking. We should go down, Scylla suggested. If the behemoth comes. They could be helpful in a fight. Perhaps they wish to take revenge, Scylla interrupted. Besides, we can take it out on the ground or the air as long as we work together. Raziel snorted, but it began to land. The others arranged themselves behind Raziel, forming the V formation that they had in the human realm when they'd shown the humans that the war was over. Raziel lightly touched down, but there was still a thunderous noise. The others caused the ground to shake. This stirred some of the unbound dragons to wake. Those that looked up at them shifted uneasily and hung their heads, while others tried to act as if they were unimpressed and unashamed. Did you know that you can get some of my gay romance books for free? Every month, I have at least one book free to download, right from Amazon, so you can easily read it on any device. But these books can only be free for 5 days at a time. If you don't want to miss out, just sign up for my mailing list, and I'll send you an email whenever there's a free book available. The link to the sign-up form is in the description down below. Raziel surveyed them. There were 2 titanic dragons, one a silver gray and the other a bright yellow. The silver gray one had what looked like lightning bolt horns sticking out of its head. That had been the one to bring the tornadoes. Zipple bared its teeth at the dragon when it lifted its wings wide. Raziel was almost amused. Even with its wings puffed, it was not as big as Behemoth, who gave out a green puff of smoke and tossed its head in dismissal. The bright yellow one blinked lazily, looking more like a fat, happy house cat than a dragon, but it had caused the beams of light that had cut through Raziel's wings. It smiled rather eagerly at Lana, who blinked back. Eldaron stepped in front of Lana as if to protect the turquoise dragon from the other's simple, eager puppy gaze. There was a medium-sized dark blue dragon with white frills who had steely eyes and a long, sinuous neck. Lightning bringer, Raziel thought. It tracked Raziel's movements, twitching slightly at every flutter of Raziel's wings. Zephyra let out a thin stream of mist like a coming storm. Then there was Vozith. She, one of the few dragons that took a gender, coiled and uncoiled her tail. Her gaze never left Mephis. The green dragon grinned with evident delight and made movements with its front claws to mimic ripping movements. Raziel wondered exactly what Mephis had done to the ruby dragon. Vozeth had been the one that had been blocking them from Caden, so whatever Mephis had done to her was acceptable. She narrowed her eyes. A light purple small dragon, almost delicate with pink undertones, curled its tail tight around its compact form, uncurled, and then took a step towards Evren, then curled up again. Evren stared at it with icy aloofness. Another medium-sized dragon with orange-red scales and matching eyes had its wings out and its body lower to the ground. Its scaly feet were slowly backing away, but it didn't take its eyes off Raziel. Finally, there was a sleek, sizzling green-colored dragon with plates of heavy bone at the end of its tail and more around its head. It bared needle-like teeth at them, lips writhing back and quivering. It was more a show of fear than anger. Raziel surveyed them all. They had been the Behemoth's slaves, and there was no saying that when the Behemoth returned, they would not seek to return to its side or fight with it against them. Raziel extended its mighty wingspan that made even the titanic dragons look small. Raziel's head was lifted high, and it regarded the other dragons from its glowing, sulphurous eyes. Even those who had sought to look unimpressed hunkered down at this display. "Will you enslave us next, or simply destroy us once more?" Vozeth asked. "You deserve destruction," Mephis hissed. "You attacked us." "I attacked none. I was—" Vozeth's eyes grew distant. Dreaming of swimming in an icy lake that cooled my scales, and then—" Those eyes grew uncertain, the memory slipping from her grasp. "You attempted to kill Valerius, the Black Dragon King," Mephis surprised them all by roaring. "You who are nothing but a cowardly worm." Mephis stamped its massive claws, and the earth shook. Rock and soil skittered down the sides of the crater. "Twice the Behemoth has enslaved you," Saphira spoke. "Twice you have given your strength to the Hydra and attacked us, and this time all of humanity. You stole bodies. You dislodged souls. Some of whom may never return to the wheel." It was Evren who added this, likely thinking of Anwar's lost lover and so many others taken too long ago. "You attacked us! We were weakened!" the sizzling green dragon insisted. "Weakened?" Zippel sneered. "You are weakness itself. How can you sit here and not feel shame? Shame that you allowed yourself to be used." "None of us had the great Raziel to defend us," the silvery gray titanic dragon intoned, its voice deep and sure. "We were alone when the Behemoth came upon us. It started with the smallest of us first." Its gaze slid to the light purple dragon. "And the most foolish." Its gaze went to the bright yellow dragon. Lana was peeking around Eldaron to get a better look at the sunny head that was lifting up to see the turquoise dragon. The medium-sized dragon with orange-red scales added, "We thought we were the strongest. We did not heed your call, King Raziel. These others did when the Behemoth came, but we stayed in our territories and thought we were safe." "We were not," the dark blue dragon with white frills said, and lightning crackled over its scales. "You, Grey One, claim that the most foolish was taken second, but surely you see that you were all foolish," Scylla said, with a trace of Esme's waspishness. "You did not just lose yourselves, but have caused death and destruction on a great scale. You have violated all of our laws." "We were used," Vozeth cried, "against our will. We did not wish to harm the mortals. Why should we?" "You took their bodies for your own," Saphira pointed out coldly. "You have caused untold damage by this act." Evren added, "We have only access to the physical world because humans bond with us. It is a choice." Zippel shocked them all by saying, "You took that choice away, and we have no idea what results will ripple out from this act." The other dragons cowered there. They had potentially put every spirit's chance to join with a human at risk. While the Behemoth had been capable of pushing out human souls from bodies without its power, Raziel did not think that any other spirit could. "Did you fight?" It was surprisingly Eldaron who asked in a relatively small voice. Did you fight against the Behemoth? Did you try to stop it?" "With all we had," the silver gray dragon sighed. "But it was not enough." The sentiment was echoed throughout the group. Raziel surveyed this sorry lot. They had once been proud dragons. Raziel could easily imagine them ignoring his call, thinking that they were above banding together for safety and defense. Long had Raziel wanted to believe that such separateness was strength. Raziel had believed it needed no other. With its human by its side, Raziel was supreme. But that wasn't true. I once thought as you, Raziel finally spoke, even after my experience fighting the Behemoth together with our kind and ending a war with our united strength. I thought to be alone. My Valerius was enough. I was king, and it was good. Not just the new dragons, but the familiar friends were listening careful to Raziel's words. Like between Valerius and Ilarion, some things needed to be said, acknowledged, and apologized for. But without these great beings by my side, I grew blind and deaf and dumb to the Behemoth's presence in the human realm, Raziel said. We should have told you what we were seeing, Saphira offered. We missed the enormity of what was happening, because we thought it singular, Scylla added. Mephis's jaws cracked, but the green dragon didn't say anything to what Saphira and Scylla had offered. I felt strife, but looked to the sea for peace, not realizing that it wasn't the land's fault it was unruly, but the Behemoth and the many who felt left behind by our ascent, Lana said. These were solemn words from the turquoise dragon, who celebrated fun over everything. If these great beings had not joined me, my Valerius would have been lost. I might have been lost, Raziel admitted. We need each other, Zippel said, stepping a little towards Raziel with antlered head held high. Metal, cold or hot, is not enough. We need our fellow dragons to keep the world from falling into chaos. Raziel nodded at Zippel, acknowledging its words, knowing how hard they were to say. It was easy to think the deserts surrounding me kept out threats, Evren said, but they just emphasized how alone I was. Who could survive the ages without seeing my gloriousness? Alderaan murmured. I was wrong to hide myself from you all. We're so honored, Alderaan. Zippel rolled its eyes. Yes, as you should be. Alderaan sighed in contentment. So far only you, Green Dragon, say nothing of the strength of togetherness, Vazeth pointed out with slitted eyes. Raziel was about to cut off any comment that Mephis was about to give, as would go against its plan, but Mephis got ahead of Raziel. There is no greater dishonor than failing kin, Mephis said, with a simplicity and straightforwardness that had everyone blinking who knew the Green Dragon. I fight by my kin's side. I hear their calls and I come. My strength is needed for triumph against our enemies. To not come, to not fight, is to be nothing. Raziel shifted its weight as it went from looking at the Green Dragon, who bowed its head at Raziel, and Raziel responded in kind, back towards the other dragons. The past is the past, Raziel intoned. You cannot undo it. You can only go forward. You are free now to do as you wish, but you have a choice. You let us leave? The light purple dragon almost looked eager. You can run away and hide, Mephis said dismissively. You can leave, Raziel agreed, but none of the dragons moved. Or you can stay and fight with us. Earn back some of your honor, or... Raziel's red eyes narrowed. Get your revenge. Whatever motivates you matters not to us. But we've lost twice, the sunny yellow dragon moaned. Hurt and lost. But not with us, Lana cried as it came out from behind Alderaan's big butt. If you fight with us, we'll win. Can you not do this without us? The blue dragon with its white frills asked. Raziel tried not to be disappointed at the fact that these dragons were not jumping at the chance to at least get revenge for their enslavement. But Raziel saw that they had been beaten down. They were afraid. Their confidence had been shattered. We can, but the Behemoth will rise again and come after you once more. We will be here again once more in time, Raziel answered. But the choice is yours. There was silence except for wings fluttering and claws tapping on the ground. But the silence was broken when Lana cried, guys, we need you to make your choice now. The Behemoth is back. I hope you're enjoying Dragon's Reign so far. Dragon's Reign is free for you to enjoy, but not free for us to make. There is a whole team working with me for audio editing, artwork, graphic design, and custom music. Most YouTube channels and podcasts have sponsors and take ads, but because of the kind of content we make, we can't run ads or get sponsors. Instead, we have other ways you can support me and the team behind this gay romance audiobook. One easy way is to buy or borrow my books from Amazon. They are all gay romance set in alternative worlds with vampires or shifters and other magical beings. You may not know that even if you borrow books with your Kindle Unlimited subscription at Amazon, they are free for you, but they still earn us money. The books are published under the name Ex Aratare, which actually means Raythe in Romanian. And if you love audiobooks, you can get professionally narrated versions of every one of my books on audible.com. The link to my author page is in the description below, as well as to the first book of the series I think you'll really like. Thank you so much for your support. People like you enable me and the team to keep writing these stories of gay romance, magic, monsters, and true love, and producing this very fun podcast for everyone. Thank you.